These are the new heroes coming into Marvel Rivals. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, so hello, welcome to the channel. We have word on these 5 new characters coming our way. This is coming to us from Rivals Intel via the XOX leak. He's a leaker for the game. So these 5 characters are of course X-Men. They are the Nightcrawler, Jubilee, the Gambit, Rogue, and Beast. Of course, many of these are fan favorites. Some others, like Jubilee, are not too well known, so I'm really glad that again the devs are giving a lot of protagonism to lesser known characters, which is pretty nice in my book. Now these 5 new characters, these are on top of the 17 that I had reported previously that were found in the game files. Those 17 brought the total number of characters to 57. Now these 5 new characters brings that number up to a 62, which is incredible. And again, it seems like this game is looking to be the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate of hero shooters. I don't know how these devs are going to balance all of these characters, but I'm really excited to get to play these characters because it's all very interesting. It keeps the game fresh. We already have word on what the roles for these characters are going to be, so we're going to go into Twitter. We know that Gambit is a duelist, of course. Rogue is a strategist, which seems weird, but we'll get into her abilities in a little bit. Jubilee says that it's unknown, but it's likely that she's gonna be a duelist just because of her mutant ability. And then Beast, we don't know. To me, it could go either way. He could either be a duelist or he could be a support. I don't see him being a tank, but Nightcrawler is gonna be a duelist. Now, if we go into XOX leak, we have a list of the abilities for these characters that he apparently found. Now, I want to focus on the ones that we're talking about right now. And of course, we don't have all of their abilities and we don't know precisely how they're going to work, but this can give some insight into what they're going to be able to do in their role. So we have Beast. His abilities are Dexterity, Field Experiment, and Intelligence Analysis. All of this sounds very strategist-y, very like a strategist. Doesn't sound like anything that would be doing damage, but if he does end up being a strategist, I am glad because that role, although it has sustain and it has good healing, it doesn't really have too much bulk, and many of these heroes, they need to use their abilities either to escape or, you know, pop ults to survive, stuff like that, or rely on being protected. So having a strategist that's a little bit more bulky, because I imagine him being a bit more bulky, is kind of great. Also, in real life, he's supposed to be a scientist, so I guess that's his way of healing, if he is going to be healing. Now, moving on to Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is definitely going to be a duelist. He has 3 abilities for now, which is Foil Style, Epee Style, and Phase Shift. Now, Phase Shift is his mutant ability, where we know that he can teleport. Now, how he teleports, I envision it being something like a Reaper teleport in Overwatch. It could also be something like the Loki, you know, clone teleport thing. He looks more like a character that's going to be flanking the backline. Sorry, a little bit like Psylocke, but without the invisibility. So it's more like teleport a place and then flank characters, right? Now, Foil and Epee, those are both types of swords. We know that he uses a sword and his style of fighting is fencing. Foil being a sword that's a bit more flexible and it's used for stabbing. And then Epee is similar, but it's more sturdy. Probably going to be used for slashing, I would imagine. All in all, very interesting character. Now, Jubilee, kind of a lesser known character, definitely at DPS. Fireworks is her mutant power, so Fireworks is probably going to be her primary, where she's, you know, slinging fireworks at people. Now, she has 2 other abilities, Atomic Bomb and Atomic Bomb Excitation. So this to me sounds like she's going to be able to accumulate energy and throw it like bombs. Maybe I'm imagining something like Penny Parker's mines, where she just throws them, but they're not going to be activated automatically. she has the atomic bomb excitation, where probably she's going to be able to pick and choose which one she wants to set on fire. That's going to be very, very interesting, because it kind of gives her a slower type of flow in her fighting style. Now, Rogue is a character that is a strategist, although that in the animated shows, especially in the last one that we got, which is X-Men 97. Very interesting show. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Um, she can throw hands. She can punch people, and she has strength to her, right? And she can also fly. Although we don't get the fly here, it's likely that she is gonna be able to do that. Now, what's interesting here is that she has the ability called Draw, and she also has skill 1, 2, and 3, skill acquisition. So that means potentially, and this is how I envision her playing, it's likely that she's going to heal her teammates when she draws an ability, and she can set it either to skill 1, 2, or 3. I don't know how she's going to set them where she wants. Probably it's just going to be something like an override. And then she has, and then probably she's going to damage characters or enemies that she comes into contact with, right? And this is the strategy in her, that she's going to be able to pick and choose different strategies, a little bit like Loki's ultimate, where he takes the ability of one of the enemies and uses it immediately. It's going to be probably something like that. So all in all, very, very interesting. Gambit. Gambit is a fan favorite. A lot of people were clamoring for this guy to come. So he has kinetic energy card, which is very likely his primary fire, where he shoots out his cards, right? But he also has energy accumulation, which seems like he's going to be able to charge those cards and then throw them out to do extra damage. Now, he also has node card array projection and node card array recycling. All this sounds to me like he's going to be able to throw several cards at a time and damage characters, and likely he's going to be able to recycle them by retrieving them. A little bit like Psylocke right now, where one of her abilities is throwing out a projectile that then comes back to her. You know, all in all, very interested to see how these characters are going to play out. I would imagine there's going to be a whole event when these characters do come. Now, we do have info on other characters, and I do want to touch on a couple of them. One of them being Professor X, so X-Men Collection, Potential Simulation, Mind Projection. He's a strategist, I believe. The XOX League said he was going to be a strategist. Jia Jing, I believe, said she was also going to be a strategist. Fairy Wings and Fairy Healing. If that doesn't say strategist, I don't know what. Payspot Pete is a DPS. So Sticky Bomb, Glue Lasso, and Pay Attention to Your Feet. So this guy is looking to be like very CC heavy. Very annoying character. Kind of like Junkrat in a way. Colossus, another X-Men, Giant Punch and Steel Colossus. Most definitely a tank. Locus, unstable structure, stable structure, and then energy lock. I don't know. I still don't know what this character is going to be precisely, but well, I guess we'll find out later on. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you like the content. I will be making more videos like this. I always say that, but you know, I'm trying to keep true to my word. Thank you for being here if you did get to the end of the video. I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. huge collection of characters from Marvel. It hasn't even been a year and we already know all of this information. Anyway, let's move on with the video. So, first we're going to talk about Blade. Blade is an anti-hero. He is a Dhampir, so a combination of vampire and human. That means that he can walk on daylight, and he has all of the superhuman abilities you would expect from a regular vampire. So superhuman strength, stamina, speed, agility, heightened senses. He has a rapid healing factor, and he doesn't have any of the weaknesses, so pretty convenient. He can walk in the daylight, and what he wants to do is he wants to rid the world of vampires, so he hunts them down. Now, in every single adaptation, we see him with a sword because he is a master swordsman. He is also a great marksman, and he's a martial artist master, so boxing, capoeira, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, just anything you can imagine he probably knows. So this guy definitely has to be a duelist. I don't imagine him being a strategist or a tank. One thing is that to survive he does need to consume blood, so I imagine that his primary fire is going to be something like throwing his knives, probably marks people and hunts them down, and probably if he kills an enemy, he gets some health back. That would be super interesting. I'm imagining something more like Psylocke, where he's not a frontline duelist, he's more of a flanker, he takes angles, looks for his prey, takes them down, rinse and repeat. The next one that I want to talk about is a villain, a super villain at that, Ultron. His powers are generally, superhuman strength, speed, agility, flight, energy projection. He's a cybernetic android artificial intelligence, has a god complex, and he tries to destroy humanity. We already know what his abilities are going to be in his class. He's a strategist. He fires a primary laser that's going to heal your allies, and I suppose it's also going to damage enemies. He plays a little bit like Zenyatta would in Overwatch, where he has a drone that he can place on people and it will heal those heroes. But another ability that he has is that he can fly. Apparently we don't know how long, but I suppose something like Iron Man, and he can also fall slowly. Now for his ultimate is going to be just a bunch of drones that are either healing your allies or damaging enemies. It's incredible. I suppose his team up is going to be with Iron Man because he has a connection in the movie Iron Man Age of Ultron, or the Avengers Age of Ultron I should say. Right, so to not make the video too long, I want to talk about the mutants that we have in the list. So we have Professor X, who's probably going to be a support, I would think, or maybe a duelist, who knows. We have Jean Grey, definitely a duelist. We have Jia Jing, who has the ability to make her body like rock hard, so I suppose she's going to be a tank, a girl tank, which is great. We have Emma Frost, who has 2 mutations, and it could go both ways. It could either be that she's a support or she's a tank, because she has 2 mutations. One is making her a telepath and all the telepathic abilities, and the other one is making her body like diamond. So it's probably going to be a situation like Mr. Fantastic, where she could be something like a tank, but also something like a support, or like a strategist, I should say. And well, Cyclops, he's definitely going to be a duelist. Now, as for the other heroes that were mentioned in the game files, we're going to go through them, I think, real quick. So we have Valkyrie, and there are many characters that go by that name currently, but we have Jane Foster, we have Runa, and I think the new one, or the current one, is called Brunhilde from Earth 616. All of them are Asgardian battle warriors with incredible prowess and they're fighters. She's the strongest of the Valkyrior, or the Valkyrie warriors, I guess. And as far as her powers go, like many Asgardians, she possesses super strength, speed, stamina, agility, and in the works. And she carries a spear and a sword, and has the ability to perceive death in the form of a death glow. So what I'm picturing here is that she's probably going to be a duelist, maybe something like Magic, where she fights either with her spear or her sword. And maybe she's more focused about identifying low HP heroes and taking them out with her death glow ability. She probably also switches between weapons, between her spear and her sword. Perhaps the sword is more close range, and maybe the spear is throwable, maybe like Black Panther would, or like a Namor would. Of course, Thor would be a team up for her in Doctor Strange, because apparently Doctor Strange was the one that gifted the sword to her in the comics. Now moving on, we have Deadpool, who's likely gonna be a duelist as well. Perhaps he also has a healing ability like Wolverine, but I picture him more like a Genji, with his primary fire being a pistol, as well as having a sword that can probably deflect like we've seen in the movies. He maybe has a regen factor like Wolverine as well. Very likely that he swings his sword in one of his attacks, maybe up close. Now, team-ups, they could very well do team-ups like the ones they did in movies, where there's Wolverine, there's Colossus. We see them together in the movies. That would be incredible. Captain Marvel is definitely gonna be a tank. She's practically Superman, and it would be weird for her to be anything else. So likely she has flight as a movement ability, and very likely she has energy blasts for long range attacks. Or maybe it's her primary, who knows? She feels like she would be something like a tank hero, but with higher mobility. A close range brawler type, but she can reposition a bit quicker. I would hate for her to function like a Thor number 2, where she just has an empowered form and she slings energy beams. That would be incredibly boring if they went that route. Moving on, we have MODOK, so a human technician that was turned into a supercomputer and was placed in a life support chair called the Doom Chair. This guy, in being mutated, he developed a plethora of psychic abilities. I think this guy's gonna be a strategist through and through, very likely, because his powers include stuff like, you know, telekinetic force fields, telepathy, mind control, but his chair also has stuff like missiles and lasers, so there's a slight chance he could maybe be a duelist, but I highly doubt it because he doesn't look like the fighting type, or like the type who would be in the front lines. Another one is the Hood. This is a supervillain who became well known in the criminal underworld of New York City and eventually formed his own crime syndicate. I like that the devs are going with lesser known characters, giving them protagonism. I think that's part of what's going to keep this game fresh for years to come. Now the Hood has at his disposal a magical cloak and mystical abilities like teleportation, invisibility, and he can even walk on air with the use of magical boots. And he can even transform into a demon form, who apparently is as strong as a Wolverine. To me, this sounds like a flanker duelist with a demon form ultimate like magic. I don't think he could be anything else. I doubt this guy would be a strategist, and he does not sound at all like a tank. So, another crazy character that they're trying to include is called Hitmonkey. This is again another lesser known hero, anti-hero, or whatever he is. Apparently he's simply just a Japanese macaque monkey with abilities like agility and reflexes, the ones that a monkey would have. But he's also an expert marksman and a martial artist. This is out of left field, like I mentioned, like no idea if he's a hero, an anti-hero, or what. It's looking like another Jeff the Landshark situation, and I'm all for it. Crazy heroes like this, to me, are gonna be the lifeblood of the game. Now for Locust, I have no idea who or what she is. If it's the Earth 616 one, she apparently has teleportation, flight, and energy blast like many other heroes. Another one that's lesser known in my opinion, I don't know who she is. Pacebot Pete is another crazy one, you know, a lesser known character as well. This one has a glue gun. A glue gun with which he apparently can create objects and walls and stop enemies, and he can even use it like Spider-Man's webs. I don't know what the devs are gonna cook with this one, but I'm all for it. And the last but not least, another ex-Guardian, like we talked about previously. This one is called Angela. She looks to be a sister of Thor. Apparently she fought, or she was in heaven or something like that, and like many other Asgardians, you know, super strength, durability, stamina, speed. She has a sword as well, and she has like heavenly armor, so maybe another magic situation. We've yet to see. Anyway guys, that's gonna be it for the video. I'm really glad that the devs are gonna give, you know, lesser known characters protagonism. I'm glad that they're including interesting characters into the mix with different abilities. Of course, in the next video, we are going to talk about a recent dev interview that we had, and we're going to go through his thoughts, or their thoughts of what they're going to do with the game, with the heroes that they're going to introduce. So look forward to that. I'll be making that one soon. If you liked the video, guys, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. I'll be making more of these, like I always say, and well, I'll see you on the next one.